Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video where today I am going to be changing the oil on our BMW M4. It's going to be a quick video. I don't want to make it a full-on tutorial, but in case you want to know how to change your oil on your S55, M3 or M4, or maybe you just want to watch me, change the oil on the M4, then stick around because we're going to get right into it. So let's do it. Alright, so the M4, we haven't changed the oil on it yet since we got it, which, we never do. We usually change the oil right after we get a car. But we're going to change the oil, and for that, we're going to use all of this. Here we have the oil. We have 7 liters of original BMW engine oil. There's no brand. It's BMW engine oil. I thought it was maybe Castrol or Liquid Moly. No, it's BMW brand. I didn't know BMW made oil. Original BMW engine oil, SAE 0W30. This is what the forums recommend and what BMW recommends, I believe, as well. So we have 1 liters. So we have 7 liters here. We also have this oil filter housing socket. You're gonna need it, obviously, to get the oil filter housing off. This was cheap. I got it at like Harbor Freight, I think, or Amazon. New O-rings. You gotta get the new O-rings for the oil filter, of course. The actual oil filter itself, BMW M oil filter. And then, this isn't necessary, but we're going to do it. We're going to change our air filters while we're at it, while we're under the hood. We might as well. So we have our 2 Mall air filters. So we're gonna install these as well at the same time. And make sure, obviously, you have your oil drain pan area to put all your oil in to then dispose of it properly. We got our jack stand, which, by the way, what we're going to do is we're going to move the car forward a little bit, and we're gonna put the rear wheels on some wooden blocks right here at the edge of our garage right here, and we're going to lift up the front so that we get the car as even and level as possible so the oil flows out as nicely as possible. So we're going to be doing that very shortly. And also a really neat little trick which I've mentioned in my previous oil change videos is something that you can do is to turn the car on for a little bit, maybe move it around just a little bit so that you warm up the oil just a little bit so that it flows out a little more uniformly and a little nicer, since it's a little bit more liquidy rather than it being cold and a little more gooey, right? So just turn your car on just for a little bit, let the oil warm up a little, and it'll be easier to get the oil out. And by the way, this engine is pretty similar. The process to remove the oil and install the new oil is pretty similar as the N55, as the N54, as most BMW inline 6s. So it's not too different than any other, BMW inline 6. So on the F10 535i, which I made the video on, the oil change, which by the way, click up right here if you're on desktop, it's the same process really. Everything's pretty much in the same location. If you're familiar with the N55 or the N54 or anything like that, the B58, this is gonna be pretty similar to that. Alright, so the car is jacked up and it's perfectly level. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to loosen the oil filter housing just a little bit to release the air pressure so that when we get down underneath for the oil drain plug, the oil flows out smoothly without, that bloop, bloop, bloop type flow. So we're going to loosen this just a little bit and then we're going to go underneath the car and start removing the oil. Alright, removing the oil filter housing. Like I said, this is just to remove some of the pressure so the oil flows out a little bit smoother. And that should be enough. Alright, time to go underneath the car. I got my oil drain pan thing to put all the oil in. Catch can, I guess you could call it. And down here, right here, you see our oil drain plug. And that is a 17mm socket. So using a 17mm socket, I'm going to remove it and drain all the oil right into here. Alright, so I couldn't find another 17, so I'm using the one for the wheels. But that's alright. Still 17. Let's go ahead and start draining the oil. Ow! Also, something that I like doing, I like maintaining some pressure on the bolt so that oil doesn't start seeping through until I feel it's completely out. Then I rip it off, just like that. There we go. Now we wait for all the oil to drain. And since the car is warm, the oil is a little bit, slicker, a little bit more oily, as it should be, and it'll flow out a lot smoother than if it were cold. Also, I apologize for the camera angle. I couldn't see it, so I thought it was right. But now we can see the oil, like I said, is draining. Very, very nice. Let's leave that draining. While we leave it draining, though, let's go ahead and we can start removing the oil filter housing from the top, making sure no oil gets anywhere by using this towel. We can do that, and all the oil should drain. Alright, we have the oil filter out. There's a little bit of oil there, so what we can do is we can actually get some paper towels, shove it in there, and soak up the oil. Keep doing that until all the oil there is gone, because you don't really want that old oil still there. But the new oil and the new filter, right? So we're gonna remove that. Right here we have the old oil filter. Very dirty, very dark. The oil is still draining right there. You can see it, so we're gonna wait until that completely finishes. And while we wait for that, like I said, we're going to switch over oil filters. So let's take this one out and put the new one on the oil filter housing, and then we can start removing all of this excess oil. Alright, so we have the old oil filter here and the new one here. All I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna get my hands dirty and I'm going to take off the old one. Should just slip out like that, put that to the side. And you're gonna see there's 2 O-rings on the oil filter housing. There's one tiny one right here and another big one right here. So all I'm going to do is just take them off with my trusty pick. There's the O-ring off, and let me get this small O-ring off as well. Time for the new O-rings. The oldest trick in the book, don't put this on dry. Dab it in some oil, spread the oil on it, just so that when you put it on, it doesn't rip itself to pieces. And make sure it's on the right one. It should be on the bottom one, but not the absolute bottom one. You can see that there are little sticks preventing you from putting on the bottom one, and make sure it's nice on and flush. Spread some oil on it, and now for the small one. Same thing, put a little bit of oil on it. Oil filtering housing is done. Now we can put on the new filter. The orientation doesn't really matter, and you should hear it snap in place. This is done. Let's put it on the car. And you'll notice the only thing left in the bag is this copper crush washer. Make sure that you remove the original crush washer that came with the car, or that you did the last oil change on. Put that aside, you cannot reuse it, and put on this brand new copper one. Just like the original one, it is a 17mm because it is the same one. Just change the crush washer and you should be good to go. So let's go put this on the car along with the new oil filter. All right, I got my oil drain plug with the brand new crush washer and my torque wrench. 25 Newton meters of torque is what we're gonna need. So I'm going to start putting this on. All right, it's hand tight, so now I'm going to go ahead and tighten it with the torque wrench. All right, there we go, 25 Newton meters. We are done down here. Let's go back up to the top. Okay, I've just used paper towels to get out all the excess from the oil filter. There's nothing left to do but to just install the oil filter. So I'm gonna go ahead, and before I put it in though, I'm gonna grab a bit of old oil. I'm going to dab on a bit around the edges. Same reason when we put it on, just so it doesn't, you know, stretch or break or anything. We want it to glide on it nicely. The torque spec is 25 Newton meters, same as the oil drain plug. So I'm gonna get my torque wrench and I'm gonna torque it down to 25 Newton meters. All right, that was pretty easy, but 25 Newton meters. So let's take a quick little look. The oil filter housing is nice and it's on. It's torqued down 25 Newton meters with the brand new oil filter. Now it's time to pour in the new oil. And again, before all this, make sure that your drain plug is on correctly and torqued, because you wouldn't want to start pouring in oil just for it to come out the other end, right? So make sure that's tightened. We've made sure ours is tightened, and now it is time to do the fun bit. We're going to pour in the new oil and, you know, measure it and do the whole computer resetting so that the car knows the oil has been changed. And by the way, the amount of oil that we need, 6.5 liters, go into this S55 engine. So let's go ahead and get 6.5 liters of oil right in here. So here we have one, like I've shown you before. This is 1 liter, so we're just gonna put in 6 entire ones of this and then half of one. So let's go ahead and start. So this is the last one. This is the half that we need. So I've just put in from 32 up until more or less 24, and I'm gonna get it down to 16. That should be it. We're gonna check it, and we're gonna turn the car on. Obviously, you know, without the funnel and this back screwed in. We're gonna check it. We're gonna see how it runs. We're gonna check the oil, and then we're going to reset the computer so that the car knows, like I said, that we have changed the oil. All right, looks like we're done up here. Everything is tightened nice and securely. Make sure you didn't leave any tools or anything, you know, and I'm gonna check myself actually, because I should tell it to myself. Everything that we have to do now is inside the car, where we will reset the computer. Like I said, the oil change, for the most part, is done. All the oil is in, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to start the car. I'm not gonna rev it or anything, obviously. I'm just gonna start it, let it warm up a little, and listen to it, feel it. Service due soon. So what I'm gonna do, like I said, I'm gonna let the car run a little bit, and then I'm gonna turn it off, and then with the ignition only, I'm going to reset the oil service light, which is, I will show you. I'll show you how to do it. It's a very, very simple process. All right, let's turn the car off. Without your foot on the brake, turn the ignition on, and you'll go over here to this button on the side, and you're gonna wait for this to disappear firstly. Hold this down. There we go. So now we're going to tap on it to go through all of the options until we get to the engine oil. Once you're there, hold it down and then let go. It's gonna ask you if you want to reset it. Hold it down one more time. There we go. You can let go, and it is doing the reset. So now it'll let you know in 11,000 miles, I believe it should be 11,000 miles, when to start, you know, looking into getting your car serviced, changing oil and all that. Vehicle check in 30,000 miles. Let's go back just to check what it says for the oil. 10,000 miles. All right, 10,000 miles or October of 2024. Reset is impossible right now because we just changed it, obviously. So, all right, to check the oil level, go to your iDrive, vehicle info, vehicle status, and then you can check it right here, engine oil level, it says it's okay. And then if you want to measure your engine oil level, you have to be driving for, I believe it's around 30 minutes at operating temperatures. It can't measure it cold. So go ahead and start driving, and then you can measure your engine oil level. That should be it. I really appreciate you guys watching. I hope that I helped you. If you needed help, you know, with your S55 engine oil change or anything like that, I hope that this video helped you. And if not, then maybe you were just watching for fun. In any case, I really appreciate it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all in the next one. Take care.